Good evening and welcome to the Lower Frederick Township Board of Supervisors work session agenda. It is December 17th, 2024. Let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone who is listed on the agenda is present. Supervisor Yiser is attending virtually. Announcements. Township meetings are recorded for the purpose of preparing the minutes, and the recording is destroyed after the minutes are approved. The meeting will be posted online on the Township YouTube channel. The link can be found on the Board of Supervisors page on the Township website. It is requested that all persons wishing to speak before the board shall state their name, address, and the subject matter upon which they wish to speak for the record. In the interest of facilitating the business of the board, all persons addressing the board shall be limited to 3 minutes, unless such time is extended by the chair for good cause. Individuals are requested to remain in their seats and to respect when other persons are speaking. The Board of Supervisors will provide a reasonable opportunity for citizens to comment on any non-agenda items after all agenda items have been addressed, but prior to the adjournment of the public meeting. And the first item on the agenda is the Yerger Minor Subdivision Preliminary and Final Plan Approval Resolution.
Good evening. I'm Brian Boyer from the Crossroads Group. I'm here to represent the...
Can you just be sure the green light is on your microphone and get it closer to your mouth so it will go in the recording and our folks on... Just pull the whole thing closer. Right. Otherwise, our folks on Zoom can't hear you. It doesn't come up in the recording.
Right. Green light's on. We're ready to go. So.
Audio is fine.
All right. So we have the Yerger Minor Subdivision, which is basically a 2-lot subdivision. We're annexing a small portion of approximately a 16-acre property to a property that's just a little over a half acre to make it almost an acre of land. The larger tract is just going into the Clean and Green program, so he's trying to basically just get his affairs in order, and the smaller lot is just trying to make their lot a little bit bigger so that they can make their encroachments less, giving themselves their side yards, and make it a more usable lot. So that's basically what the intent of this subdivision is. And then we have a December 11th review letter from Value Engineering. I'm not sure if you want to just go through all the comments or how you intend. All right. Comment number 1 is asking for the environmental adjustment factors on lot 1, which is actually, lot 1 is the large lot. Basically, is asking us to remove the chart that we have put on there for that one. Is that what that is asking for?
So the environmental adjustment, net tract area adjustment must be tabulated for each lot. And you have something on the plan as a representative minimum developable lot area hatched out. That's unnecessary. If you look in the code section, there's a table that you fill in for the environmental adjustment factors. I'll be happy to talk to your office with that, about that at any point. It's just a table that goes on the plan.
Right.
And that needs to go on the final plan for recording.
Okay. We were just trying to show, I guess, a 2-acre developable area that's outside of the environmental areas, kind of showing that it was.
So item 1 is a will comply. Would that be correct?
Yes, that's correct. Number 2 is showing, I guess, that lot 2 is an existing non-conforming lot, so it is less than 2 acres in size, so it will never be able to make it to that size. But we have increased the size of the non-conformity, so we're in compliance. And I guess number 3 talks about the encroachments that are there. So we're making, I guess we're not able to make the encroachments go away through this subdivision because it is the front yard setback. So unless we're moving the structures, nothing's going to be avoided there. Number 4 is talking about the minimum side yards. Again, the subdivision helps with, or the annexation helps with this, but it does not make completely eliminating the encroachments. Number 5 is talking about the existing house, carport, and sheds are also nonconformings, and this is talking about bringing everything in conformity again, and it's existing nonconformity. And number 6 is also talking about the nonconformity of Lot 2. So those are all compliant, let's say, already. We get into the subdivision land development sections, which are then primarily the waivers that we're requesting. Number 1 is asking for a waiver of showing the storm sewers, pipes that are shown in, I believe it's in Yerger Road. We're asking for a waiver of that. Basically, the utilities are not a part of the development. It's basically a lot line adjustment, and there are no easements associated with the utility itself. So we feel that's a waiverable issue. Do you want to go through all the waivers and do them at one time, or do you want to vote on each one individually?
I suggest you go through all the waivers and they can do them cumulatively.
Okay. All right, that was section 145-18B and 145-18B 3C 1B. Then we have 145-21. That's the requirement for offer the dedication of the legal, the area between the legal and the ultimate right-of-way. If you wouldn't mind going back to the plan, it shows on lot 2, which is the smaller lot, the section, the section of the existing lot of lot 2 in front of Yerger and Ryan Ford Road. That section, we're showing the proposed right-of-way, but it's not being offered for dedication because PennDOT doesn't want their section of Yerger Road, and with the discussions with the Planning Commission is they didn't want the dedication of the road for Ryan Ford Road there. So we're asking for the waiver of the dedication of that. We're showing the right-of-way, but we're asking for a waiver of dedication. Section 145-39 is a waiver of the concrete monuments along the entire right-of-way of the frontage of that property. As you can see, we have quite a bit of frontage along Yerger Road there, twists and turns. We're just asking to be putting them on the outer edges of the properties. So worst case scenario, that could be 3, but if there's existing pins at those locations, we wouldn't replace a pin with a monument, which is normal surveying practice. So I think it might only be 2 monuments that would be set, but it could be 2 or 3 monuments at that. But we're only looking to set them at the common lot line and the outer edges of the property versus setting them at every change in direction along the right-of-way. 145-39 is not a waiver request. We'll comply with setting pins at all the other locations.
Are you also agreeable to setting pins everywhere that you're not setting concrete monuments along the street right of way?
I guess we could set them along the right-of-way, but I guess that's, yeah, we could set them along the right-of-way at those locations if,
Thank you.
as it will comply, yes. 145-41 is requesting a waiver of sidewalks along the frontage of the property. Of course, there aren't any in the adjacent areas, so 145-42 is street trees. We're requesting a waiver of street trees. There is quite a bit of woods on at least Lot 1, and then Lot 2 has a few trees along the frontage of their lot, except for maybe in front of the house, but that is where the driveway and things are at the intersection and for visibility. So we're asking for a waiver of that. 145-53A. Is a complete all improvements and financial guarantees. I guess we're going to be submitting, we're going to be submitting all the pins and monuments instead of submitting, an escrow. I'm guessing that's what that is.
Thank you. So your intention would be to set all the pins and monuments prior
back.
to recording the plan so that financial security might not be required. Is that what I understand?
Yes,
Thank you.
that would be the easiest way to do that, I would believe. And then number 14 will be providing legal descriptions for the 2 lots, which we will comply.
If it pleases the board, it was my understanding that the Planning Commission provided a favorable recommendation on the waiver requests and on preliminary and final approval of the lot line change plan.
I don't remember every bit of their review, but I do remember that they recommended that we approve all of the waivers except, I believe, number 9 on your review letter. I think they were asking for the monuments just along the Bohannon property. Does that sound right? Just along one side of the property, not on both?
So the monuments would normally be installed along the ultimate right-of-way, and the Bohannons are not actually dedicating the ultimate right-of-way. So what they have on the plan right now is a concrete monument on either side. They have a concrete monument at the ultimate right-of-way for the shared lot line, the new shared lot line, and they have a concrete monument on the far right-of-way line on the far side of Lot 1. So right now, the only Bohannon monument, as I recall, was the one on the shared lot line. Does that sound right?
I believe so.
Okay. I don't have an objection to a waiver of this if we get metal pins along all these points where we're not getting monuments.
So is that item 9 or item 10 or both?
So that's really item 9, and item 10 is a reiteration that all lot corners shall be staked and marked by metal pins. So that's not just the right-of-way, that's all the new corners of these lots, all the corners of these lots.
That's all I have. Other board members, other questions, comments? Chuck, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, a question for Carol. So just for the record, I am the property owner on the other side of this lot that we're talking about. I guess it would be lot 2. There are already pins along our line there with the neighbor, so I assume that those will just stay the way they are, right? There are metal pins already, so.
Yes, sir, you are correct. If there are existing monuments or pins, a pin is a monument by survey term. So if there are existing pins on your shared boundary, those would not be changed by this subdivision.
So do I take that to mean that the board is ready to move forward with the resolution? Okay,
Madam Chair,
yes.
I do have one comment regarding one of the waivers. The request for not dedicating the ultimate right-of-way, I see no reason why we should grant that. It's something we take with every subdivision. It has no impact upon this property owner. It has no impact upon this plan. It's just something that we would, we would take ownership of the right of way for a possible future use, which most likely will never occur. But if it does occur, it would be very nice to have this dedicated right of way to the township at that point in time.
You want this section of PennDOT right away?
We would, yes, we would like the whole frontage.
Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I'm asking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It means,
Well, it's,
yeah,
it only means something if they ever build something. Township or state, if they do improvements to the intersection. Technically, they would have to show you plans, but it would be within the right of way of the street.
Sorry, would you like to come and make a comment? Okay. Peter, could you explain that, Peter?
yeah, you would not see any change to your property. You would not have any change to what you do to your property, what you put in your property, how you maintain your property. All this would do is that if sometime in the future, either the township or the state wanted to do road improvements, they would already have the right to do that along this tiny little strip of land. If they didn't have the right, they would just condemn it at that point in time. So it just eliminates that step. And it's something where this township does in every subdivision with every piece of property. It asks for the dedication of the ultimate right-of-way. It's done in every township I represent. It's done in every township I've ever been in for a township meeting. It's a very common practice. And for the vast majority of the cases, nothing ever happens because the township and PennDOT's not going to do any improvements along a road like this one. It's just too small. But it's a planning process. It's just preparing for the future, just in case. That is all. But for your ownership, it's an easement. You still own the underlying land. You're not gonna, and you still can do whatever you want. If you want to mow it, mow it. If you want to put gardens in it, you can put gardens in it. If you want to park along it, if we allow parking on the road, you can park in it. All those things you can still do. It's not going to impact that.
Would it be helpful to maybe state how big the right-of-way is?
So,
How big?
how wide it is?
Yeah, right.
It's 50 feet, 25 from the center line.
The additional right-of-way you have marked as 8.5 feet between the existing legal and the proposed ultimate was 8.5 feet on your sketch, is that right?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, and again, as Peter said, the chances are this may never happen, but maybe in 100 years, that road will get widened, or 200, who knows, right?
So, just so I get it clear, when we put notes on the plan, I guess we've requested the waiver, didn't vote yet, but your solicitor is making his recommendation. That the township is willing to take the section of right-of-way in front of a PennDOT road.
So the township
just
isn't
I'm saying.
taking it, you're going to put a note on the plan that offers it for dedication to the government agency having jurisdiction at the time of dedication.
Right.
And that'll be a legal description that you provide to the township with this plan of subdivision.
So I'm offering it for dedication to the township.
You're offering for dedication to the government agency having jurisdiction. So it's a plan note,
Okay.
but they're not, the
PennDOT's
township's
not-
not, I don't
PennDOT's not
believe the
taking it.
township's taking it today. It's just an offer that's on a plan. Would that be correct, Peter?
No, I think we are taking it because
You do wanna take it?
if
Okay.
it's just an offer on a plan and we don't act in 21 years, it goes away. So, yeah, normally way, I operate and I see other places, yeah, we actually I would prepare an easement, a couple page easement that would just take that into township's name and if in the future PennDOT wanted to do improvements, we would be able to transfer it to PennDOT.
I just want to make sure that if we're talking about this, I get it right, because technically there's two right-of-ways there, one for PennDOT, one for the township, if I do it right. But PennDOT's not going to take it because there's not a project. So if you're making me, if you're making me dedicated, it's being dedicated to the township.
Correct.
So,
That's what I'm looking for,
okay.
yes.
Just to be clear. We're asking for the waiver. They can say no, but we're still asking for the waiver. Yeah. It changes. Yeah, we're still asking for the waiver. He's making his recommendation, so you can make your votes. We're ready for those.
Yeah, and Peter, I mean, how often does this actually happen?
In 25 years, I've seen it in that, my firm has dealt with it once.
So given you're on a very small road, the chances are, we can't say it'll never happen, but the chances are probably close to zero. So it's, I mean, it's up to the board, but as I understand it, if this is our policy in the township, this is what we do for every single property. I think our solicitor is advising us to treat your property the same as everybody else.
Well, I don't know if I see PennDOT doing an improvement. If anything, I see potentially the other road, not Yerger Road, being improved. I see the intersection being improved if a development happens down the other road, so that they would improve the intersection, so that that's where I would see something happening in my world. But I don't know how developable that is, or if it's on lot systems or whatever, but if there's an improvement, I see that intersection happening because of that road happening, because I see it's a lower class road and something happening down that direction. But I don't know your township well enough to know what direction it would be growing.
How's the rest of the board with denying that one waiver based on our solicitor's guidance?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't something I was thinking about before, but it's recommended by the solicitor and it's consistent with every other subdivision that's been put in front of us. And knowing the small chance of it, I don't see the large risk in it, but I understand the pause.
I agree with Terry.
So you agree with Terry?
Terry Burke.
Okay, sorry, I didn't hear you. Chuck?
Seeing as though I'm a neighbor, I'm trying to,
Oh, you're not, so you're going to recuse yourself from the vote? What are you going to do with?
I would like to, unless you need my vote to go one way or the other, but personally, I hear what Peter's saying, but I think in this case, just like my house, it's very close to the road. And I think you should take that into consideration when you're talking about dedicating these rights away. So I'm not sure why we're making such a big issue of this. I personally don't think that the applicant should have to do that.
Terry?
I agree with Chuck.
So it sounds like we have 3 in favor of denying the waiver and 2, although you're not going to, are you going to vote?
I have to.
1, maybe 2 in favor of granting the waiver? Is that what I'm hearing?
So maybe another clarification. So this one property, the dedication they're asking for is for the soon-to-be 1 acre parcel, or? Okay.
Yes,
but it would only be on that one property. Properties up and down the road wouldn't have that same, so it's going to be inconsistent right away, regardless if a project were to happen.
This would actually make it consistent.
I see.
So that right-of-way, this would make the right-of-way along the smaller lot consistent with the right-of-way that exists today along the larger lot.
In the scenario where this would come in to play, if it's not PennDOT, what is it?
If I had to project, the only other situation that I would foresee is if there were drainage improvements at that intersection, that it might be advantageous to have that area to work in with drainage improvements at that specific intersection.
Okay, so it wouldn't be bringing the road, I also live close to a road, so to bring a road closer to the house is something you don't want to think about if you're already close.
Yeah,
That's not
I
the
agree.
point of this, if
Correct.
PennDOT's not involved.
And
So-
and even if we did a drainage project there, PennDOT would be involved because we'd be along their road.
So can't we qualify this easement for what purpose it could be used for? Drainage makes sense to me, right? Everybody wants to make the situation better. But, you know, the road widening thing, I think is a little off the mark.
Right, okay.
I'm not sure you can do that with the right of way. It's the right of way, or you can't separate it for purposes.
Okay.
Jason, what resolution number are we on?
It's 20.
20, thank you. Are there any more questions or comments? Are we ready to move forward?
Sure, I have another question. So
Okay.
if we do grant the waiver and we need to do, there's a problem with drainage or we need to do something in the future without having this, is it still possible? Or do we need this for any project?
You would have to do drainage. You wouldn't be able to go out of the right of way, the ultimate right of way of the state, PennDOT, if you go down that road. So if you're adding 8 feet more than what PennDOT's ultimate right of way is, you'd be jockeying in, coming down, and then jockeying back out to the
No.
ultimate right of way.
No.
You'll
So
have
what,
approximately,
right now, the legal right-of-way is PennDOT's right-of-way. And it's about 8 feet inside the ultimate right-of-way for purposes of discussion. If that ultimate right-of-way, if that 8.5 feet was granted, was offered to the township, now we have the same right-of-way line in front of Lot 1 that's in front of Lot 2. So it actually gets rid of, there's a jog there today, and this eliminates that jog. Now there is a consistent right-of-way on Yerger Road along both lots if the ultimate right-of-way is offered for
This is
dedication.
below the house now, or above?
This is the entire frontage of that parcel.
It's 2 lots.
No, the entire frontage of the smaller lot, of the existing smaller lot.
Part of the frontage is on Yerger Road and part of the frontage is on North Rhineford Road.
That's what I thought. Which is gonna be,
Right.
and that right away is gonna be different than that, than what we're trying to do. Rhineford Road is gonna have a different right away than your.
that's the,
Right.
well, that's what we're,
Not gonna be in.
that's what we're proposing. That the waiver is going to make that go away. The waiver would have the consistent right of way.
Right.
Rhineford Road is separate,
Oh, okay.
okay? He doesn't live on Jagger. So Jagger, you're saying this is gonna straighten out, going down over the hill. But Rhineford Road goes up, and that's gonna have a different right of way.
Correct.
If they were gonna do improvement in that corner. So it's really not fixing that.
So I think the existing right of way is 33 feet, so you have approximately 4 feet off of the, 4.5 feet off of the road to work already. And then the ultimate right of way is adding another 8.5 feet to it.
Carol, can you speak to the comment that was just made about how this doesn't fix the inconsistency?
So if we're looking at the plan right now, my understanding is the comment is that the ultimate right-of-way depicted on Ryanford Road would then terminate at the property line of the existing Lot 2. And the right-of-way on Ryanford Road would revert to the legal right-of-way in front of the next house up, in front of the Iser property. I believe that's what they're saying. And again, we're not looking to do, we're not proposing any project here. The query that was posted was, what might happen someday in this right-of-way? Nothing may happen in this right-of-way. The only thing that I would envision as a possibility would be, maybe this would be helpful at some point in addressing the drainage concerns at that intersection. It is not a plan. It's not anything that anybody has conceived of or directed or started to design. It was simply an answer to the question of what might possibly happen here. Because I agree, I don't see a road widening, and I've never seen this township try to widen roads towards people's houses when the house is close to the road. I really don't see that happening. So I think if, in my projection, in my opinion, if there were to be a use for this ultimate right-of-way, it may be, to have some additional room for drainage improvements, but that is not a plan today. And this does not change the setbacks of the lot, because they're all from the ultimate right-of-way, whether it's dedicated or not. It doesn't change, it's a dedication of right-of-way on paper. They still own the underlying land. And I don't know that anything will ever be done with that in our lifetimes, but it does allow that if someday in the future there needs to be some adjustment or change to Yerger Road or the intersection of Yerger and Ryanford Road, the township's got a little more room to do it without having to proceed with any kind of a condemnation. So I don't disagree with Peter's perspective there. And that's my perspective on what would be the benefit of that.
Is that helpful? Or you shook your head, you disagree?
I'm still asking for,
Pardon me?
I'm just still asking for the.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my question for Peter would be, if this is what we do that's standard for every other property in this township, we're setting a precedent by, in this specific case, if we didn't do it. And
Not a legal precedent, not that someone could raise and say, well, you did it for him, you got to do it for me.
well, people will still do that.
Well, yes, still, it's more of a policy or political precedent. So, but legally, if you decide that you want to waive this particular, this request at this point in time, it doesn't mean we are opening up the floodgates, no.
You could say because it is PennDOT and township is the reason you waived it. Maybe the other situations didn't have that. Maybe the others were just all township or all state.
Yeah, so I guess my next question is, if we came to the point we wanted to do the drainage project, we had to do a condemnation, what does that involve?
That involves paying me a bunch of money. Condemnation, it depends on if they want, if it's something that we can settle. Usually in this situation, let's say if this is waived and then 5 years from now, we want to do drainage improvements at this intersection and we need this ultimate right-of-way land. The first thing normally you would do is you would approach the homeowner and just say, hey, we need this. Are you willing to provide it to us? Give it to us. Because, the right-of-way itself, that land is basically worthless. Because, what we'd be obligated to pay for it is the difference between the lot as it is now and the lot with the right-of-way taken away, that's not going to impact the property value of that property. No buyer coming in is going to be like, oh, you gave away the ultimate right-of-way, I'm paying you $5,000 less. So, generally speaking, townships try to figure out a way to have the right-of-way donated, because to go through the condemnation process, it's quite expensive. You have to get appraisals, you have to file with the court, you have to pay attorney's fees. Even if it's something that's not, we condemned the land and it's never challenged, never fought, just going through that process is going to cost several $1,000s. So to condemn land, it requires, the supervisors to pass a resolution. It would require the solicitor to prepare a declaration of condemnation. It would require an appraisal of the property, which might be the most expensive thing, because we have to do an appraisal, and then we have to put up that amount as our offer for the land under the condemnation. All that has to be filed with the court. The property owner would then have a chance to challenge whether or not we have the right to condemn the land, as well as, even if we have the right to condemn the land, to challenge the amount we're paying for the land. If those challenges occur, it becomes a much more expensive process.
And this is all at taxpayer expense.
Yes.
So there's a drainage project problem in the future. The homeowners say, hey, come and fix it. And then this is what we have to go through because we won't have an ultimate right of way.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Only if the property owners say, no, you can't do the work.
And Riceburg Road, that right of way is going to be short. So at the end of this, and the drainage problem will be coming down Riceburg, that's the border. So you have to condemn Chuck's property all everybody else. That's what I'm saying, you're still gonna be an offset. Like, if you make my right of way wider, theirs are still gonna be narrow, they're still gonna have to kick. So you still have to go, ask them for permission and we're do that. I don't know that you're fixing anything. By making the right of way.
All right, what would the board like to do? We have a resolution before us.
After hearing everything I've heard, first off, I don't like surprises, and this was kind of a surprise. I didn't kind of really see this coming. But having heard what I've heard so far, I'd be willing to grant the waiver at this point. It's kind of where I'm standing, based on what I've heard.
Terry?
Yeah, I support that as well. There's such a small chance of it happening, but then there's also so many other factors going on here that we already wasted a lot of time talking about it, so I'm fine with it.
Terry? All right, would someone like to make the motion?
I move to approve Resolution 2024-R20, granting final plan approval to Yerger Road Minor Subdivision, conditioned on the value engineering letter dated 12/11 of 2024.
And do we need to add to that?
And the Bucks County review letter of,
Montgomery.
what?
Montgomery
Sorry,
County.
Montgomery County Planning Commission review letter,
December 13th.
December 13th.
You said it.
Do we need to specifically mention about the waivers?
No, there are, yes, you probably actually should add them to the motion to, specifically state what waivers you are granting.
How many are we granting?
If you wish, I can read them.
One,
Go ahead, Peter.
Granting a waiver to section 45-18B from having to depict a storm pipe outfall located along the frontage of the Bohannon parcel on the plan. Section 145-21, from having to offer for dedication to the township the area between the legal right-of-way and the ultimate right-of-way along the road frontage of the Bohannon parcel. Section 145-39, regarding attachment 3 engineering standards, section 113.1, to allow applicant to install only 2 concrete monuments along the street right-of-way, conditioned upon applicants installing metal pins along the right-of-way lines at corners, comma, angle points, comma, in the beginning and end of curves where monuments are not installed. Section 145-41, from constructing and or installing the required sidewalks along Yurger and Ryan Ford roads. And section 145-42, from planting street trees along Yurger and Ryan Ford roads.
Thank you. Do I have a second? The motion was made by Supervisor Halter, and it was seconded by Supervisor Byrd. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? So that is, that passes 4 votes to 0, and we have 1 supervisor abstaining.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All righty. Thank you. That takes us to the next item on the agenda, the EAC letter regarding reusable bags. Should be a little simpler. Are you going to bring this forward, or Diane, who's going to?
If you want to.
Thank you, Diane.
Hi, Diane from the EAC. I think Jason gave you a copy of the letter,
Yes.
and we spoke and decided that we'll use the EAC letterhead. I just have a copy here, you can see. It's just our logo on the top. So we'd like to be able to send that to CVS and Wawa, offering them free signs to say, did you remember to bring your reusable bag? And it does point out to the business owners that we know that the bags cost them money, so it'd be a savings for them, and most people have purchased a reusable bag. So it's a win-win situation.
I think this is a great idea. It would be also great if, I mean, I know when I go into the CVS, sometimes they automatically hand me a bag, and there are a few people who work there who ask first. It'd be great if we could get people to ask first. They may hand out fewer bags.
I have talked to some Wawa employees, and this is not the one in Zigorville, but they've told me that they're told not to ask because when it gets very busy, that takes time. So just going on. So it's up to the consumer to say, I don't need a bag. But this will just be an additional reminder that if they have a bag to take in, that they can take it in, you know, so it's a start. It's just a little soft push to the consumer that will help the business owner too.
Okay, any discussion from the board? I know we talked about this before, and we asked them to make some changes.
Does this letter include those changes?
I didn't know there were any changes.
Were there changes?
Didn't hear of anything.
I think maybe the changes we asked for were for the other one.
Yeah, I don't
That
think it
that
was.
was the planning commission.
Yeah,
That was the open space committee
I'm
letter.
confusing them, thank you, sorry.
it's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Had a couple letters lately.
I think the only thing is, do we want to use the township address and information?
Yes, you should not use your personal address.
Okay,
Yeah, that's.
all right.
Use the
That was
township.
like my
already.
first thing, like,
Yeah.
no.
That was a prototype.
Yep.
Will
And
do.
maybe just have like Lower Frederick Environmental Advisory Council, Lower Frederick Township, 53 Spring Mount Road.
Okay.
So could I see your letterhead? Does it include the Lower Frederick moniker on it, or is it just your letterhead?
It's just this, and it doesn't have 53, it doesn't have the address on it.
but they'll contact you if they want to do this. If that's your phone number, they'll call you to get this signed?
Yes.
Okay.
Does the EAC have an email address?
Yes, we do.
You should put that
Yes,
too.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
So if I'm hearing right, then I think maybe in the body, we can put your contact information in the body, so that way if they,
Okay. Will do.
is that what I'm hearing correct from the board?
Yeah, I mean, you have please respond with your willingness to post it, and you can say
Put it
however
in
you want to
there.
be contacted. Yeah, I think it's good.
Any other questions?
I think it might be useful to, I mean, are you going to deliver these in person? Are you going to give them a heads up it's coming? Will you follow up after the letter to see if they have any questions? Maybe have some human contact either before or after? Might be
Yeah.
useful.
Yes, so we've talked about that. We'll probably hand deliver the letter if the store manager is there and have a discussion there, and then ask them, how should we follow up with this? They may say you have to send it to corporate. We don't know. We hope that doesn't happen, but it's a possibility. And so we're going to continue to, just ask them how things are going and if they can make that decision. Keep it going. And until we get an answer, we'll keep asking the question.
Any other, now, we don't need to vote on this, we need just to have consensus it's acceptable. Okay, any other comments from the board? Anyone have
No.
any objections? Chuck?
Will you be signing the letter?
Yes, actually, the whole EAC would like to sign the letter. All the members, the chair and everybody. We're all residents, so we thought that might put a little more, a little more hometown people requesting. So,
Okay.
Terry, is that okay with you? Yeah. Chuck, do you have any comments?
Nope, other than, thank you very much. I think it's a great letter and a great idea.
thank you.
Okay, so it sounds like we have consensus? Yep, okay, go forth.
All right, thanks very much.
All right, that brings us to our last item, the 2025 chip seal project discussion. Pretty sure that's you, Carol.
That is me, thank you. So for 2025 chip sealing, along with the roadmaster, we have selected about 4.5 miles of road. And that would be Gerloff Road, Kraus Road, Mine Hill Road West, Swamp Creek Road, Woodside Avenue, and Yerger Road. As was done last year, the township would buy the stone and the emulsion through CoStar's contracts and bid the chip seal equipment and labor on the standard PennDOT forms. Asphalt, AMS it's the contractor that did the work last year. They have provided us with a budgetary estimate for 2025 chip seal work on that 4.5 miles of road. They're giving a budgetary estimate of $184,850. And by bidding early, the township is likely to get the best rates and also has the benefit of getting on the schedule earlier before the hottest part of the summer. So if authorized by the board, we will prepare those bid documents on the standard PennDOT forms and prepare an advertisement so that approval to advertise and bid can be considered at your January meeting for a possible February award.
So I cruised around Lower Frederick yesterday and hit all of these roads just to get a look at them. Yeah, they all need to be chipped and sealed. The only one I was kind of iffy on was maybe Woodside, but I did notice that South Ryanford is a disaster. So I went back to the 2023 road survey and read what the plan we were going to do it this year, but it looks like it's a little bit more substantial of a project,
Yeah.
a big project.
Yeah, so that's actually a mill and pave project.
Yeah.
That's still pending for the Public Works.
So, and the whole reason behind doing this early is to,
So the reason we're talking about this so early is twofold. One, the earlier you do this in the year, generally the better prices you get. And second, back in 2019, we did this in the heat of the summer with a different vendor than the one that served us last time and the one that we're talking to this year, and a different emulsion than we're talking about this year. But we had problems because it was done in the most extreme heat of the summer. So the roadmaster was really concerned that we try and get earlier on the schedule this year, so we're not dealing with that extreme heat, should we experience that again this year.
So, and that's extreme heat is what caused some of the bleed through that was happening?
That is exactly correct, yes.
Okay, all right. Also, I read that we can get the materials from CoStars.
Yes,
So we're really only putting out for warm bodies and equipment?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Specialized equipment, but yes.
Yes.
So to confirm that Mine Hill West is that portion between Meng and the sanctuary, more or less, is that correct?
Yeah, it goes from Meng up to the sanctuary where it's Mine Hill, and then it juts off and becomes Delphi.
A little past
And then
that.
the other part, the Yerger part that we're doing goes from Delphi out to Gerloff.
Right,
It kind of breaks off there, yeah.
yeah, okay, thanks. Any questions from other members of the board? Nope. Chuck, Terry, do you have any questions? All right, so you're looking for us to just consensus to put this on our January general meeting, and at that point, we would authorize the bid.
That would be correct.
Okay, is the board okay with that?
I'm fine.
Yep,
Fine.
I am too. Yes, Chuck,
Yep, I'm fine.
Terry? Okay, there you go. And that would be great to not have it done in the summer. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Bob Burns, Zieglerville Road. I didn't know all the roads, but I went and looked at a few of them, and some of them had some repair work done to them within the last year or two. Looks like they could use some rubberized crack filler around those patches. I think one of the things that the board needs to take under consideration is we've got high volume roads and we have low volume roads. And a lot of the roads that you're doing are low volume roads. Woodside was just paved. Here again, I brought up this last year that if you're gonna go ahead and do the tar and chipping and you're gonna do it on a new asphalt surface, it's better to let it go a few years. So I don't see any rush to doing the roads. Now, here again, I didn't drive the Yerger, Delphi, Mine Hill, so I have no idea what that looks like. I can tell you that from the Iron Bridge to the intersection of Yerger Road, there's a lot of potholes. Those all need to be repaired prior to chipping and sealing. So what I would ask the board, I understand why you want to do what you want to do. I would also put an alternate in there in case you do not do the 4.5 miles. What would be the price if you did 2 miles or whatever, so that we're not throwing $200,000 out just for the sake of doing it. I think we need to start looking at some of the roads that have more volume on it and getting repair work done on those, especially with Main Street, that didn't get very much done. So we don't know what Main Street's gonna look like until this winter's over, but I'm expecting we're gonna have some damage there that we're gonna have to deal with. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to public comment. Well, I guess we already had a public comment. So is there any other public comment on any other items that were not on the agenda? Go ahead, Bob.
I brought this up before. I believe Carol's comment to me was to send Jason an email requesting something for the crosswalk. After thinking about it, I think that's ridiculous. First of all, Pannoni and his associates came to you guys.
Sorry, what crosswalk are you referring to? Can you just state that?
Yeah, I'm getting to it.
Okay,
Zieglerville and Schwenk Road. So the developer came to you guys and said, look, we'll give you the signs and the striping. I believe Mr. Byrd was the one that made the motion. I might be wrong, but we got the signs and we got the striping. We only have one sign that says to yield to pedestrians. That's on the eastbound side. It's in the middle of the crosswalk. It belongs back 30 feet back where the shark teeth are. Going westbound, you have the shark teeth about 10 feet from the crosswalk and you have no signs. So, you know, it's something I think needs to be done. All right. If the developer can't afford a sign, then maybe we need to afford the sign and move the other sign back to their proper location. The other issue is, and I don't know, maybe Peter has information on this, the 2.1 acre parcel, are we still getting the whole parcel, Peter? The 2.1 acre parcel that's being donated from the developer at Zieglerville and Schwenk,
Arcadia.
Metropolitan, Arcadia?
At Arcadia, that open space A.
Okay, somebody was telling me it was different. I think what they were talking about was the lot line change to make it so that it was the same value for what we did up at where the shop is.
Carol might know this better, but my understanding is there's no change to the actual parcel being dedicated to the size of the parcel being dedicated to the township. That's not changed at all.
That's
Okay,
correct.
So-
The parcel was split in half so that part of it could be exchanged for the Coble Park land, right,
Right.
where the building was
Yes.
put down. The township is still getting all of open space A. There's just a lot line through the middle of it so that part of it involves the National Park Service and part of it doesn't.
It's encumbered, so.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. So I'm glad to hear that. The only other situation there is, and I haven't looked at those plans in probably over a year, that Jason got them out for me, but the vegetation that's growing on that 2.1 acre parcel, I'm sure is not what the plans call for. It's more weeds than anything. I know it had soil amendments done to it. So before we take dedication, I know they're still trying to get dedication on that. I'm not sure whether that's on your punch list or not, but I really think that we really need to know what we're getting. We don't want to have a situation like we have over at the dog park where we have no grass over there. You know, this area here is supposed to be for, you know, the kids and people to use. And if it's got weeds and everything else growing through it, that's not what we should be getting from, you know, from the developer. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment? Okay, that brings us to supervisor comment. Is there any supervisor comment?
No.
I have a supervisor comment. I want to wish everybody a happy, healthy, and peaceful holiday season. I hope that things are calm and quiet. I hope for the police, for the staff, for all of our residents, and that we can, you know, spend time with our family and loved ones and begin the new year refreshed. And with that, meeting's adjourned.